Hello, bruv. We're back with libraries and culture. We've moved past the forward and moving into the section on book plates, which is only 4 quick pages. Let's do this. The book plate belonging to John Andrews Library, dated 1774, courtesy of the British Museum. I've already done one book on book plates, and this will go along with it. The book plate, while hunting information for his doctoral dissertation, A.M. Fazel-Kaber discovered 2 interesting items used by an enterprising shopkeeper in Bengal 2 centuries ago. One is an advertisement dated 7 October 1780, which describes the difficulties faced by a proprietor of a lending library in a large community with an unsettled population, such as Calcutta was for a long time. The other is the bookplate used by that proprietor to identify books in his circulating library. It is featured on the cover of this issue of the Journal of Library History. Unfortunately, I don't have the dust jacket, but maybe I'll look it up. In addition to the rather usual for the time, well-nourished classical figures surrounding the stylized library alcove, bookplate contains several words and numbers. Utile dulce, the useful with the agreeable, is at the top. Calcutta 1774 is just below the banner, almost hidden. In the lower left is the artist's name, Shepherd, S.C., and at the foot is John Andrews, Circulating Library. Fazel-Kaber found answers to some questions I asked in the February 1968 issue of the Journal of Asian Studies in Bengali types and their founders. Shepherd was the 21-year-old engraver for the English East Indias Company, EEIC, mint located at Hooghly, about 30 miles north of Calcutta. Adjacent was the Dutch East India Company's DEIC jurisdiction in Chinsura. Charles Wilkins, EEIC mint superintendent, was responsible for munitions, coinage, other metal products, and later types. At or near the mint, Shepherd designed and etched the metal plate used to produce the bookplate for the circulating library in Andrews' Calcutta establishment, which dealt in liquors and various other fine imports, including books for sale. The circulating library was supported by quarterly subscriptions. I would believe it was located in the present Dalhousie Square area, not far distant. James Augustus Hickey, printer and publisher, announced most of what we knew about the Andrews shop in Hickey's Bengal Gazette, issued 29 January 1780 through 5 January 1782 only. Hickey was too outspoken for government to tolerate longer. A few years earlier, 2 young men attending Harrow were courting the same young woman, splicing the Dictionary of National Biography's comments on each. When Richard Brinsley Sheridan was chosen, Nathaniel Brassey Hallward, then at Oxford, decided to enter EEIC service. He was posted as the Hooghly establishment and later married the daughter of the DEIC governor at Chinsura. Though it was not his first publication, in 1778 there appeared, I'm not even going to attempt to read that, A Grammar of the Bengal Language by Nathaniel Brassey Hallward, printed at Hooghly in Bengal. In Roman numerals, I'm not going to. A Grammar of the Bengal language, long acclaimed as the first book printed in Bengal, is the first book produced anywhere in the world to use Bengali types. I reported in 1968 that a grammar lauds Wilkins, the mint superintendent, for his exceptional type production. The Bengali blacksmith Panchanan Karmakar and the dye sinker Joseph Shepherd are overlooked completely. John Clark Marshman was only 6 or 7 years old when he came with his parents to Serampore. The Baptist missionaries, or the Serampore trio, and their children soon learned to know the local printing establishments, and I have no reservations concerning Marshman's statement in his Life and Times of Carey, Marshman, and Ward, embracing the history of the Serampore mission, 2 volumes. On page 159 of the first volume, he wrote, the first book in which Bengali types were used was Hallward's Bengali Grammar, printed at Hooghly at the press established by Mr. Andrews, a bookseller, in 1778. The 1778, of course, belongs with the title. Though on EEIC property within the fortifications needed for a mint, this was a private printery. Mr. Andrews' press, after the success of a grammar of the Bengal language, it required some steady persuasion to convince the company to sponsor its own print shop. For even 1 year, they soon found it advantageous. No more than one press was necessary in 1774, and there was but one other in the presidency of Bengal before 1780, that of Charles Wilkins for the EEIC. When John Andrews had begun printing both copperplate engravings and small business papers using letterpress, has not been learned. The grammar was certainly not his first venture, nor do we seem to know when Andrews opened his circulating library in Calcutta. It could well have been in 1774 or earlier. He would travel with the tides, the usual manner between Calcutta and Hooghly, to attend affairs in the two locations. And early in the 1780s, a young Scot, John Borthwick Gilchrist, arrived in Bengal and became interested in the Urdu, Hindustani language. He requested permanent retirement from the EEIC's medical service in order to devote himself to producing of a Diglot dictionary. Thus, I have discussed in the fall 1978 JLH cover article. Gilchrist began publishing in the late 1780s, but it was 1 August 1798 when he signed his preface. On page XLII of the preface to a dictionary, English and Hindustani, Gilchrist wrote clearly that Shepherd had not only helped him with the Urdu types, but had assisted Charles Wilkins through the entire process of making and using non-Western types, with not a word of thanks. On page 75 of Holmes and Company's The Bengal Obituary is the Joseph Shepherd notice. Burial had been in South Park Street Burial Ground, Calcutta. In 1970, I visited that cemetery. Few 18th century stones remain, either in their original positions or side by side against the compound walls. The Shepherd Memorial was nowhere to be found. The same day I visited St. John's Church, the old Anglican cathedral, for which Shepherd had engraved some plates for the cornerstone laying ceremony. All such plates were missing. Only the holes into which rivets had been sunk remained. Adding further to Kabir's article on my return to Cary Library in 1968, I found a 4-volume set of Thomas Cart's A General History of England. The verso of each volume's title page bears a stamped ownership mark, John Andrews, who Huffley, 1799. In 1799, John Andrews was alive and well, residing in the twin communities he had long known, not in Calcutta. Did he have a small press operating at Hooghly, Chinsura? It would be interesting to know, for these large villages were soon to be the scene of some exciting local literary activity that included translation, compilation, printing, and publishing. A bit of this is in my paper, The Literary Hussain Family of Chinsura, Hooghly, 1800 to 1850. Included in Proceedings of the 1978 Southwest Conference on Asian Studies, edited by Lester J. Bilski, pages 150 through 162. The bookplate that my 1960-61 Dhaka University student, now Dr. Faisal Kabir, found is very likely the oldest extant piece of print, an engraving from the first press established in Bengal. What other small pieces of business paper were produced at Mr. Andrews' shop? And when exactly did it begin operation? Catherine Smith Deal, Seguin, Texas. That'll be all. Goodbye.